We know why we are meeting. So let's get on with it, eh?
Despite misgivings, I'm here on the promise to find a settlement.
Too much blood has been spilled.
Because you broke your word. And because you can't control your men.
Are you asking for my protection?
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm coming at you with another review of another one of my more anticipated games of this year, and that's no other than Mafia: The Old Country. I was really looking forward to this game. I was really happy with how transparent Hangar 13 and 2K was leading up to the release of this game, with having people dial back the expectations and releasing it at a very, very commendable $50. And man, we have been getting some great $50 games this year, and this is just another one of them. So with that being said, let's get into the video. And before I get into any of the main talking points of the review, I'd like to give a quick background of my history with Mafia as a franchise. So Mafia is one of my all-time favorite gaming franchises, with Mafia 2 being one of my all-time favorite games. While Mafia 1 is a great game, especially the remake we got a few years back, which honestly is one of the reasons we have to thank for having Mafia: The Old Country. They truly went back to their roots, and The Old Country now sits firmly behind Mafia 2 as my new second favorite game in the series, dethroning Mafia 1 remake. And to touch on Mafia 3 as well before I get into the review, I personally didn't hate the game as much as other people, but I also didn't love it because to me it felt like they kind of lost their identity and followed the usual open world type game formula instead of staying classic and true to themselves and staying true to what made a lot of us, myself included, fans of the series to begin with. So as Mafia 3 isn't my favorite game in the series, I'd argue it's the worst entry, but it's the worst entry in a franchise that just is filled with great games. So I still really enjoyed the game for what it did right. I like Lincoln Clay as the main protagonist. I think he was done very well. Good story, typical revenge story, not the best, not the worst. And I like how they tied it into the other games with a dope ending. I answered one of the biggest questions I had after finishing Mafia 2. I thought it was a good plot twist for the fans of the series. If you know, you know. So the first thing I want to talk about in this review is the graphics and overall art design. This is just another case of me looking at Unreal Engine 5 as honestly a hit or miss engine, because this game can be hit or miss on the technology side of things. And just for clarification, I played on the PS5 Pro, and I believe it is Pro Enhanced. Nothing major, nothing too crazy, just higher resolutions in both modes and more stable frame rate. I stay in the performance mode personally with the VSync option on for majority of the playthrough, as turning off VSync unlocked the frames, but it introduced some really nasty screen tear that I honestly haven't seen since the 360 era. And the last game I noticed that was very bad with screen tearing was Far Cry 6, but that was because I wasn't on a VRR capable display at the time. This time I was, and it was still noticeable. So yeah, I definitely kept VSync on. With that being said, it also has the usual Unreal Engine 5 stutters and frame drops, but it isn't too egregious, and it's mostly noticeable around busy towns or driving really fast in busy areas. But guys, it's not all negative. From the bright side of things, this game is absolutely gorgeous as far as the art direction. The overall lighting and resolution seems to be sharp even in performance mode. I do appreciate the UE5 lumen lighting, as it really stood out to me certain times of the day and certain missions as well, with different weather and different lightings in the world. The textures impressed me as well, with the occasional pop-in, which I don't like, especially when you have nanite and UE5. Kind of was a turn-off, but it wasn't too noticeable, and it was just kind of weird things that would pop in, so not necessarily foliage, but sometimes every now and again an NPC or a car. The last thing I really enjoyed was the overall facial details. Whether it's I'm turning the camera around to look at Enzo's face or looking at random NPCs or anything, just walking around looking at people, or the really, really, really well done cutscenes as well. Everything and everyone looks really good, and I can appreciate that, because the other UE5 that impresses me when it comes to that scale, when it comes to facial animations, is definitely Hellblade 2. Now guys, Hellblade 2 is in a league of its own, but this game has very good facial details, and I really appreciate it. So the next thing I want to talk about is the music and sound design, the voice acting as well. And man, this game nails all three and does all three really, really good in my humble opinion. The performances in this game were so well done. The cast was really good with standout performances from everyone, especially Don Teresa. He was my personal favorite in every scene he was in. He absolutely stole the show. He had that true Don boss, mafia leader energy. The main character, Enzo, is very well done as well, as he gained confidence throughout the game, with, the beginning being very humble due to circumstances, with him just growing into himself as the game goes on. Everyone from random cops to main villains sound great. It also sounded really good for the time period as well, with the nature sounds, the sound of new early automobiles and horses, footsteps, gunshots, shots as well. Everything sounds good and detailed, which I really appreciate as an audio head and audio fan. The music was dope as well, nothing too crazy that stood out. But, as you explore, you do have some mellow background music playing that really immerse you in the world. And you have more intense music as well with shootouts, man. The audio and overall cinematography of this game, with the cutscenes included, really had this feeling like you was playing a movie at times. And, that was all I wanted from Mafia. That's why I loved the Mafia 1 and 2. And I can't express how happy I am they went back to their root, guys. So the next thing I want to talk about is the story and attention to detail, which I won't be spoiling because, as you guys know, if you're new to the channel, I do not do spoilers on this channel. I try to stay away from them as possible because I want everybody to experience the game as I did. So if you're new, man, I hope you can appreciate that. If you've been sticking around and you already know what's up. Also, guys, if you made it this far into the video, please hit that like button. But as I mentioned earlier to the when comparing it to the earlier games in the series, man, I really appreciate how they went back to their roots, as I mentioned, with a true linear and focused story, a good cast of characters, a dope pace in a world that builds up the character and the world around you while not overstaying its welcome, but also not feeling rushed as you grow to know the people and your family and crew. Every Mafia game to me has some sort of twist and betrayal that kind of catch me off guard, and this game is no different, but it feels more humbled and very appropriate for the time and setting. The old country really stands out from anywhere I've been in the series, although it's not my favorite location in the series, as that still remains Empire Bay with Mafia 2, as I am a New Yorker myself. This is a really good addition to the series that feels right at home. I can't state enough how much I enjoyed the story, guys. It truly felt like I was playing a movie, and I highly recommend it, especially on sale, with it only being $50 to start as the base price, which I think is more than reasonable, especially in a world of games creeping up to $80 and these developers charging $70 every chance they get. I really appreciate all the dope $50 games we've gotten this year, whether it's Clear Expedition, Oblivion Remake, Split Fiction, and now this as well. I'm sure I'm missing one. Yeah, Wu-Chang, Fallen Feathers. It's just a lot of great games that's coming out at $50. But with that being said, it's a lot of games coming out, So Black Friday and holiday season is right around the corner. So these games always go on sale soon. So it'll definitely be worth it anyway, whether you wait or buy it today. I think you can't go wrong with either decision. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is the gameplay and combat. And the gameplay and combat in this game is nothing new or revolutionary. It pretty much is more the same that it has been in the series, with the addition of cool new boss fight mechanics that plays out with knives. It's a dope feature that's separated from the other games. The gunplay movement feels really crisp, especially at 60 FPS. I played it on hard difficulty, which I recommend to everyone, as it just makes the game more intense and fun, in my humble opinion. Which it also made you have to search enemies more often for resources and especially band-aids. You had to be a lot smarter with how you use your ammo. Even though I never really found myself running out, it was times I had to swap to other guns or go pick up an enemy gun. And you can't just take a whole bunch of shots, which I think is really dope. I appreciate the charms and collectibles that can buff your character. As it adds a unique but subtle effect to the game that makes it worth looking around. There's also the usual, Mafia driving, horse riding, run and gun chase missions. And of course, it would not be a Mafia game without a race, even though on hard difficulty, I was kind of disappointed because it was nowhere near as hard as the infamous race in the first game, especially on hard. So, a simple yet fun and satisfying gameplay with amazing story, great performances, and solid graphics, all in a $50 package that I can appreciate and highly recommend. I honestly think we need more games like this, reasonable price games that get straight to the point, that are not bloated, but handcrafted stories and experiences instead. For me, it's definitely appreciated. I definitely recommend this game. This has been your boy NextGenNero. Please please hit that like button. Please subscribe if you're new to the channel. And let me know if you plan on checking out Mafia or if you're going to skip or wait for a sale. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
Get up there and find them. I'll shoot from here. Keep the bastards off you.